And one of the things I've always realized with these conversations, especially around democracy, is that they are just the same as governance, whereby we are always pointing to national government for all our problems, because we always want to point at someone else. The trouble with the democracy and the governance conversations, again, is that when you put the elite in a room, again, they also look for a boogeyman to point at. And that's why when we are seated here, most of us would always want to point at things like literacy levels and tribe. I want to come from the place that, first of all, I don't agree that there is any problem with that, because our literacy levels have kept growing. Some of us think that literacy is about university education. Our literacy levels in Kenya is actually way above 80%. So it is not any problem that we want to canvass. Number two, when we talk about matters of tribe, again, I tend to believe that it's just a place that we run to hide, so that we don't really meet the threshold of the reality of the challenges. Kenya, our literacy levels have kept growing, but our quality of leadership has not grown with the literacy levels. So I come from a place where I think that part of Kenya's problem is the elite. Because you cannot tell me that way back in the 70s, the people were electing Tom Mboya, Martin Shikuku, right? Fast forward in 2022, who are you electing? Okay? So I don't want to accept that we want to make it look like there is some people somewhere who are illiterate that are derailing the country. Number two, where does tribalism start for a young person? Most of you, your tribalism started in university, because you go to the university and then you realized that for you to run for office like my brother there, you needed to assemble your Kalenjins together, so that you put them together with the Kikuyus before then put them together with the Luos and then win an election. But growing up, it's possible that you had never realized that you needed anything like that. So if the tribalism starts at the university level, then what does that show us? What does that tell us about our academia and how it's oriented? So part of the problem of this country, I argue, is actually elitism. The elite are part of the problem. When you go to even the tribes, our tribes had a form of leadership before the advent of democracy. There is a way our elders organized themselves, and they had a leadership. And somehow it used to work. Now, at what point did we start having these people come together and then they give us the worst? I argue that it's when the elite became elders. When we talk about political parties, and political parties sit together and then they decide for communities leaders that are not necessarily the right people for the community. These political party leaders that Joanne talked about, that some leaders are decided at the political party. Who are the leaders of the political parties? They are the elite. So how the elite come together and then choose the most incompetent is something that we must also be able to canvass and discuss. And that's why I argue that part of our problem is this elitism. And not necessarily, it is not right to always imagine that those of us who went to university are the ones who have all the right wishes for the community and the rest of the people are wrong. We must be able to interrogate that. I can assure you, most of the people in your village are not going to argue on tribe more than you are going to argue about it, yet you are the ones who are educated.